I'm one of the judges that favored Nick to barely win over Derek this weekend.
Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video, finally, we got Tyler Manion's explanation for why Nick Walker lost the Pittsburgh. For those of you who don't know, Tyler Manion is the Vice President of the IFBB and one of the judges at this show. As you guys just heard, he also thought that Nick deserved to win, but he also says that he understands why he lost this show. So we're gonna take a look at what he said. We're gonna go through pose for pose to hear his explanation and to see if it actually makes sense. And before he started breaking down the physiques, he also addressed the part about the politics, and pretty much what he said is that there are no politics, there was no robbery, that it would make more sense for Nick to win, to make the hype for the Mr. Olympia, and that he has a huge fan base, this and that. Of course, he denied the rumors that it was actually fixed, that it was rigged. What else would he say? Of course, I'm not gonna play that part for you because that was, of course, expected. But he did explain how they actually broke the tie, and that was interesting to hear. Take a listen.
It was a direct tie across the board. We wanted to bring them out for one more round, basically call it a tiebreaker round, to break this tie.
Alright, so basically what Bob Cicarillo said about how they broke the tie, it's not necessarily not accurate. What they did is, after they realized that it was a tie, they did another round, basically a third round, in which apparently Derek won. What they're saying is that it was extremely close, and then in that last round, Nick faded a little, and Derek got even better, or held his own. And yeah, I did kind of see that. You know, that last round, Nick wasn't as good as he was in all the previous rounds, but I also thought that Nick deserved a victory before that. I didn't think it was that close. I thought Nick was a clear winner, but I guess that's not the way the judges saw it, and now we're gonna hear exactly why. So let's start with the first pose, front double bicep.
I felt like this was one of the poses that was more clear for Derek. Nick has better arms. Derek has wide flaring lats into a small waist. Basically a weakness for both of these guys are their quads from the front. The amount of room that their legs take up is very similar, at least in my opinion. When you go with the overall flow of this pose and the detail, I think Derek takes it.
Alright, so basically this is obviously a shorter version of what Tyler said. If you guys want to watch the whole video, go to the NPC News Online YouTube channel and watch the whole thing, but this is the summary of it. Basically, what Tyler says is that the overall look in the front double, Derek is better, and that their legs are equal in size, that Derek has better taper, but Nick has better arms. Do I agree with that? I definitely disagree with what he said about the legs. I mean, yeah, Nick might be lacking legs because his upper body is so massive and because his waist is wide, but as far as like the leg mass, I think Nick's legs are just bigger. I mean, maybe not the outer sweep so much, but like the adductors, the overall size, I think Nick's legs are taking way more space. I'm pretty sure about that. And as far as the arms, yeah, of course, Nick has better arms, but yeah, I definitely agree with the overall flow, the aesthetics, and like the taper. Derek has that, but I don't know, man. Like, because of the size of the legs and the size of the arms, I'm not sure if Derek wins this. But yeah, let's say because of the waist, because of the taper, that's probably the most important thing in this pose. Derek takes it. Let's agree with Tyler on this one. Let's say Derek actually wins front double. So that's 1-0 for Derek.
Now, this was definitely, for Derek, his most clear win in a pose. Why is that? Because this is Nick's worst pose. Nick has definitely done a good job of trying to improve it, but still for him, his chest looks a little flat. The waist looks a little bit wide here. He's not really able to get the lats out in this pose the way that he's able to do it on the back lat spread. When you combine all this with his upper body, and then, you know, his lower body obviously looked the best it did, but still the upper body and what he's lacking here really shows through.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can agree with this one. I mean, yeah, like, I could go as far as to agree that Derek wins this one, but what Tyler says that it was so clear that this is Nick's worst pose, I mean, maybe it's his worst pose, but it's not that much worse than Derek. I mean, he says he's not opening up his lats. I don't think Derek's lats are popping out much more. He says Nick's chest is flat. I don't see that it's flat. I mean, it doesn't show separation, but it looks pretty big and wide and full to me. And as far as like the arms and the shoulders, Nick is definitely wider to the shoulders and he has more size in the arms. Maybe the details are, here and there. Maybe Derek has a little bit better details in this one, but not much. And then the legs, same story like the front double. I mean, yeah, sure, I could give this one to Derek, mainly because of the waist size, because in this pose, Nick doesn't really, he can't really make that waist look smaller, and Derek has obviously much smaller waist, but that's pretty much it, that's the only thing. As far as like the lats and the shoulder width and the leg size and the chest fullness and the details and the size of the arms and the shoulders, I think that's very, very close, and Nick is better in some parts, so I don't know if I agree with Tyler with this one, but okay, let's give it to Derek because of the overall flow of the pose. That makes it 2-0 for Derek. Let's go with the next pose.
This pose, I feel like, was a very, very close pose. Nick's side leg was really, really good at this show. Absolutely huge. Good lines, not quite as many lines in separation as Derek. Conditioning and just the muscularity, especially in that side leg, I thought was super impressive. And really, we posed him so much, I was going back and forth, but at the end of the day, I gave Nick this pose to make it 2 poses to 1.
Okay, side chest. Well, first, I gotta say we got a really good video right here. I don't think I've seen this video before, of course, filmed by Gilco Production. I think they saved it for this review video, and here we can see clearly what is happening. And, I gotta say, looking at this side chest, for me, Nick is a clear winner, because upper body, it's comparable. Maybe Derek opened up a little bit more, but, Nick also has a lot of size in the arms, in the shoulders, in the chest, so upper body, very similar. Nick's chest might look even thicker, but then Derek also showed some separation and size and width. Upper body, very close, but, like Tyler said as well, because of the lower body, I mean, Nick's legs from the side dwarf Derek's legs from the side. Like, look at the hamstring difference. It's huge. And there is conditioning as well, so I'm sure Nick wins this one. Like, Tyler also went and he said a lot of good things about Derek's side chest, which is good, but I thought it was like a clear win for Nick in this one, which makes it 2-1 according to Tyler Manion.
Next up is the back double bicep pose. I think this pose was the biggest surprise of the show. Normally, when you turn to the back and you hit the 2 back poses, it's lights out for Derek against basically every competitor in the Pro League. That was not the case at this show, in my opinion. Nick's back improved tremendously. That depth and 3D look was brought by Nick. And is his back as deep and as thick as Derek's? No. But the shoulders and the arms on Nick from the back might be even more impressive than they look from the front. The detail that he has in his arms is crazy. Now going to the lower body, their conditioning was very, very similar. Nick's legs looked massive from the back. I feel like Nick beats Derek in the back double bicep.
Alright, interesting. Tyler Manion actually gave Nick this pose, which is Derek's best pose. And for me, that would have been reason enough to give Nick victory in this show. I mean, that's Derek's strongest pose. That and back lat spread, and that's basically why he won so many shows so far and beat so many guys, because of his back poses. And here, he lost to Nick. And what Tyler says, of course, is that, even though Derek's back is a little bit thicker and deeper, Nick's is comparable, but Nick has crazy details and size in the shoulders and in the arms that Derek doesn't have, and his lower body was almost equally as conditioned, but much bigger with better details in the hamstrings. So overall, Nick definitely won this pose based on everybody, including Tyler Manion. This makes it 2-2. And to be honest, I don't think Tyler was ever this excited to analyze a show, to be honest. He's not gonna yell and get too overly excited like I do, of course. He needs to stay calm and be professional. He is the vice president of the league. But I think I can hear some excitement in his voice more than before in all the other comparisons he did. So, interestingly, Tyler had Nick winning this shot. And at this point, I'm really curious to hear how did Derek actually end up winning this whole show? So 2-2 right now. Let's check out the next pose.
Next up is the back lat spread pose. At some points, I really thought I was going to give this pose to Nick, but at the end of the day, I ended up giving it to Derek. Nick's back, still in this back lat spread, still could have more of that depth and thickness. Derek's thickness and width in the back is really overwhelming. Again, I think Nick beat Derek in the lower body, but I feel like Derek here, his back was just a touch better than Nick's legs were better than his in the lower body. So for me, I gave Derek this pose.
Okay, here is the one that I have to disagree with. I don't disagree with the assessment. Yeah, Derek's back is thicker, and I'm not sure which round this actually was. Was this the tiebreaker? Because Nick definitely didn't look as good in that tiebreaker, but again, I thought that tiebreaker was unnecessary. I felt like Nick won before that, but in that tiebreaker, he wasn't really flexing as hard as he did before, so I think Nick's details in the lower body were better in the earlier rounds, and I thought that would have been enough. Again, yes, Derek's back is thicker, and Nick definitely improved this pose, and he looks much wider now than he did before, but yeah, Derek beats him in the back thickness, especially in this video right here. But as far as the lower body, again, Nick is so much better, and I have to disagree with Tyler on this one. I feel like Nick's lower body was way better than Derek's lower body, and I don't think Derek's upper body was that much better than Nick's upper body, than Nick's back. So because of the legs, because of those crazy hamstrings and crazy difference in size, I felt like Nick won back lat spread as well. And Tyler's reason for not giving Nick this pose is because we're not seeing the arms. And apparently Nick won a back double bicep because of his details in the arms and because his back also looks better in the back double, which is true. I agree with that, but still, I felt like Nick looked better in this one. So for me, this would be 3-2 for Nick, but it ended up being 3-2 for Derek, in Tyler's opinion. Anyways, let's move on to the next pose, side tricep.
Derek's outer arm and shoulder have improved. The way that he angles himself on this pose is much better. The midsection is tight. His chest stays fuller, and the width that he displays across the top from shoulder to shoulder is very good. For Nick, the upper body, the angle of how he's hitting it could be better. And then midsection, his abs are in, his abs are deep, but his midsection is just thicker, and he doesn't display the same flow going from head to toe. And again, Nick's side leg, again, was absolutely incredible. I feel like his side leg was bigger and a little bit better than Derek's. But when you're going top to bottom and overall in this pose, I gave this pose to Derek.
Okay, I agree with this one. I have to agree with this one. You can also see it, I'm pretty sure, very clearly. The width in the shoulders that Derek is displaying, he's opening up more, his chest looks fuller and wider, his midsection looks better, his arms even look better, even though Nick's arms are crazy. He has trouble probably with flexibility, so he's not really showing his arms at the best light possible. And then the legs, I give to Nick, but it's not enough. Yeah, the overall flow of this pose is definitely in Derek's favor, so I have to agree with this one. Derek wins this one, which makes it 4-2.
Next up is the abdominal and thigh pose. Nick's waist is just a little bit wider. Derek's able to make his legs look a little bit wider. Derek has really, really good taper. Now, Derek's abs were a little bit on the flatter side. The lines weren't as deep. Nick's abs were very blocky in a good way, I should say. Legs from the front, I feel like they're very comparable, his and Derek's from the front. That extra detail in his midsection really made this pose stick out, and he still has enough of that width and enough of that taper in the upper body. Just that extra added detail and conditioning made me give this pose to Nick to make it 4-3.
Alright, now with this one, yeah, like I see all the points Tyler made. Derek does have a better taper, like his lats are popping out more, his waist is smaller, and his legs do look bigger in this pose than in the others. I don't know why. I guess it's the way he's posing with his legs with one foot over the other. Maybe that's the way he should pose with all the poses, all the front poses, because it does look better. And yeah, once again, the waist is smaller, but like still, Nick's legs are bigger, and his abs are actually separated and blocky, like Tyler said, and like he has enough of that wee taper as well. Like his lats are popping out, not as much as Derek's, but still enough. And again, mainly because of the details in the midsection and the size in the legs as well, if you ask me. Yeah, I agree with this one. Nick wins abs and thighs which makes it 4-3. And now we got the last pose, most muscular.
This is obviously Nick's strongest pose. His overall muscularity, absolutely insane. Most muscular is probably Derek's weakest pose. So overall, Nick is just way too much to handle in this pose. Very few people can stand next to Nick in a most muscular. And this made it a clear pose for Nick. So ends up that is 4 poses to 4. And like I said, I feel like 5 poses you can argue either way for either competitor.
Okay, as far as this one, I don't think we need to hear an explanation because this one is just so clear. Nick, with his crazy level of muscularity, crazy level of conditioning, even his legs are looking super wide and round, and like the shoulders are so wide and separated, and the arms are insane, and his abs are crazy. He kills Derek in this one. It's not even close, not even remotely. And like I said, I also thought that the back lat spread was Nick's pose, so in my opinion, this would be 5-3, but based on Tyler, it was 4-4, and he says there are 5 poses you can argue. I don't think so. I think they're all pretty clear, and I would again give the back lat spread to Nick, and as far as the most muscular, there is 0 arguments to be made. Like this one, Nick destroyed Derek in this one. So overall, yeah, Nick lost a couple of poses for sure. Front double, let's say, maybe front lat and the side tricep, but the other poses he kind of killed Derek in. So I thought overall it was simply so impressive, so overwhelming that he should have won this show. Here you heard Tyler's explanation. Even though he also had Nick winning, this is the way he saw reason in this decision, and I guess the other judges felt this way. Do I think this is the right call? No, I disagree with it. Do I think that it was, I don't know, fixed because of some political reasons? No, not really. I don't know. I don't really see a lot of really good arguments. The only one that I can think of is maybe they wanted to rile up the fans, to make us more excited for the next show, but I don't know how much sense does that make. So I think the judges just made a wrong decision, and that's about it. But maybe you guys, after you heard Tyler's explanation, maybe you see it differently now. You can tell me down below in the comment section. But there is one more very interesting thing that Tyler said, which was not really considered throughout this comparison. Let me play it for you.
Nick did a good job of, once he was in the poses, controlling his midsection. However, in transitions and moving around and everything else, he still lets his midsection go a little too much.
Yep, I was kind of waiting for this, because this is probably the reason why Phil Heath lost to Sean Roden back in 2018. You know, Phil probably won majority of the poses, and he was just bigger and maybe more conditioned, and he probably won most of the poses, but especially in the transitions, he was letting his stomach go. And Nick, even though he controlled it better than last year at the New York Pro, probably, it was still noticeable. So if they just said Nick won, but we punished him because of his bubble gut or whatever, distended stomach, then I would get that. But again, it wasn't that bad in my opinion. I think it was just good enough. A guy of this size can't have a man's physique waist. It's pretty much impossible. So again, overall, the size, the freak factor, the conditioning, and the overall appearance of Nick Walker, in my opinion, was better. But you just heard Tyler's breakdown, and whatever you guys think after you watch this video, tell me down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. For more content like this about bodybuilding, stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. All the best, and bye bye.